Tonight on the Black Channel, let's just go ahead and get this on out of the way now. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media. This is the Black Channel. I am the Black Authority, and you are listening live to the only historically black college university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. It's time to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, I'm gonna offend some people. Because things have happened, and when stuff occurs, sometimes you deal with it one kind of way, another time you deal with it another kind of way there, and quite frankly, I'm just off minding my own business. For those of you who are not aware here, I'm just going to touch on this very, very briefly here. I came down with COVID. It was quite the experience, I will say that, not in any nice terms, so while I was dealing with that and everything, I really didn't want to present myself in anything less than my best light and everything, and it was a bit of a struggle for a while, so I just decided to go ahead and sit back and things and try to recover as quickly as possible. But while I was in the midst of doing that and everything, and other stuff was happening as well that I won't touch on here, but while that was occurring, it seems like there were some folks who took it as an opportunity for whatever reason to bring me up and mention me. And let me tell you, that never turns out well in those regards. Now, I'm just really going to go ahead and just touch on this as quickly as possible here. I'm not going to drag it out here. It seems like a week or two ago here, there were some folks and they wanted to have some rallies around the country and thing, and that's cool and everything. I saw some folks out there and they were holding up signs that said, "Cut the check," and that's cool and everything. I don't have a problem with that. That's great and all. But I will tell you what I do think. I didn't know any of these people. These posts were put up with no context. I had no idea. It didn't say when they were put up. It didn't really say exactly, give a lot of details. So it was really out of context. Didn't really know what it was, where it was, when it was. It was just folks putting up posts here saying these things. So I didn't know if it was something that happened in the last 4 days, or if it's something that happened in the last 4 months or the last year. Without that kind of context, it's very, very hard to sit up here and, go into a bunch of gesticulations about it, because it's not really clear exactly what's going on. The other thing is, these were not folks I communicate with, and as it became clear later who the folks were, it's like, yeah, there's a reason I don't really fool with you like that. Now, as you all can see, I reposted these on September 24th. So I reposted this as it was going on, even though I wasn't really 100% certain what it was. When I saw "cut the check," I'm like, well, they can't be all bad, but all right. But it's not like these were folks I knew or anything, and I don't want to sit up here and down anybody whose heart is in the right place or individuals who are sincere. But if we're just going to be totally honest, let's be very, very clear here. If we're going to be totally honest, I don't really fool with them folk like that. I don't know who those cats are, and when it did become clear that some of the folks who were behind this stuff, I'm like, yeah, no wonder I don't really fool with them like that. So let me just go ahead and clarify things right now. First, and sometimes you can't say things the way you want to, so you gotta get somebody else to say it for you. Sometimes you can't do that. And it seems these individuals were not very happy because they thought that they were going to use this as an opportunity to raise their profile and gain credibility, and it didn't happen. You can't buy your way into this. You can't meme your way into it. You cannot go viral and get credibility. First of all, you ain't went viral. Second of all, even if you could, that's not the way you gain credibility. You don't get credibility by going viral. You get credibility by a body of work that spans years of consistency. That's how you gain credibility. Some of these folks apparently thought that the whole purpose of the new black media was to sit here and simply bestow credibility upon them, and that's not the way it works. And when it didn't work out that way, they decided, well, let's just go ahead and show our true colors and show exactly how against the movement that we actually are. And sometimes when these kind of things occur, you're really just, I can't really say exactly what I really want to say. I can't really say it exactly the way I actually want to say. So what I wind up doing is I wind up having to turn it over to somebody else. And I was just thinking to myself, this is the issue. This is an issue with the 80s babies. These babies from the 80s and the 90s. This is an issue with that. And I was just thinking to myself, I wish I could find somebody who could articulate exactly what I want to say, because I can't say it myself, and I'll be damned. I actually did find somebody who was able to articulate exactly what I want to say. So I got a message for all of the whiny ass huggies, pull-ups, mama's boys, these disrespectful, tender booty millennial generation folk looking for somebody to be their daddy. I got something for the little disrespectful fools out there and whatnot, for somebody who can say it exactly the way I'm thinking it.
I'm one of the few of the true mass, y'all, reppin' the G's, and I ain't easing on the gas, y'all. Disrespectful ass groupie new nigga, can't do shit but shut the fuck up and salute me, nigga.
You can just stand at attention and salute me. That's the only thing you can do for me. You cannot lead me. You cannot criticize. You cannot dictate. You can't do a damn thing. That's the only thing some disrespectful ass groupie new nigga can do for me. All you can do is stand at attention and say, sir, yes, sir. That's the only thing you can do. You lead nothing. You're a legend in your own mind. You can get together some popcorn rally on some steps somewhere, but credibility will evade you, which is exactly where you're at today. Let me explain something to you. The revolution will neither be fought nor won on Twitter. You putting up a Twitter space does not make you a leader. A Twitter space does not make you a leader, nor does it give you credibility. So you found the right time to be talking when I was convalescing. You found the right time. And let me be clear, another rap tune. I feel like Drake. When I get done, I might be mad that I gave this attention. I might be mad that when I get through with this, I might be a little upset with myself that I even gave this attention. But I felt like it was necessary to say this because just like with Roland Martin, if we don't keep it in stark contrast and in clear focus, who it is out here who's actually sincere and who's doing stuff thinking that they're going to get attention for themselves, there's where you get messed up at. There's where things come off the damn rails. You know, if you're truly sincere about something, you don't sit up here clout chasing and trying to get anybody's attention. If you're truly sincere about something, you just get to work. I was never an individual who said, well, I went to some of these other folks here would give me some attention about this. I've never been that dude. And you know why? Because I was too busy getting things done. But it kind of calls into question whether or not some of these folks actually want to get anything done at all. So let's just use this as an opportunity to clarify a few things. Generation clout chasing, generation me, generation look at me, generation go viral. We don't need that. We don't need that. For those of you who are sincere, for those of you whose hearts are in the right places, that's perfectly fine. I don't have an issue with that. But for the folks out here who were actually invoking my name, let me be very, very clear about that. And there's a reason why I ain't shouting you out or nothing. I'm not going to bring you up. There's a reason why. Let's be very, very clear. I don't fool with any of you. There's no reason for you to be talking about why is it that the headquarters of the new black media that the most powerful microphone hasn't said anything about you. I'm not gonna say anything about you. We already laid it out plain and bare when niggas was sitting up here thinking they were gonna hijack B1 and turn it into something else. When you thought you were gonna turn it into something else. And that wasn't gonna happen. That wasn't going to happen. So when the leaders came in, and when I say leaders, I'm not referring to myself as a singular entity. I'm talking about us as a group. When we came in and explained exactly what it was, rather than folks understanding, okay, this is going to be good. Rather than that, they decided that, you know what, we going to hate on it. Because they thought they were carving out something for themselves. You see, when you are intellectually bankrupt, and all you do is sit there dotting away on your cell phone all day, what you do is you live your life through memes. Let's be very, very clear. Cut the check is not a meme. Cut the check is an ideology. Cut the check states clearly what we're supposed to be doing. Cut the check states clearly what we will accept and, more importantly, what we will not. It's not a hashtag that you just throw up because it sounds cute. It concisely and clearly articulates exactly what our position is. Don't come to me talking about scholarships. Don't come to me talking about cryptocurrency. Don't come to me talking about, quote, education. Don't come to me talking about land grants. Cut the check. Cut the check. Simple as that. So that you understand exactly where we're coming at here. It's not a meme. It's not a meme. It's real. And all these other things. This is how you get folk on code as a group. But there were other things that were problematic. Other things that have been touched on here. I'm not one for being out there in the damn streets. And when I see you sitting up here saying things that are obviously calibrated and intended to, quote unquote, grab attention, guns up, shoot back. Whoa, no. You see, that's what you do when you sitting up here trying to grab some quick attention. No, that's not a mission statement. That's clout chasing. That's not a mission statement. That's clout chasing. Right there, you've lost the plot. If you are really about reparations and cutting the check, that's supposed to be the mantra that you're supposed to be going with here. When you allow it to branch off into other directions and allow the thrust of your appearance and presentation to go into a different direction, that's it. You've lost it. That's it. You've lost it. We're not interested in grabbing attention for the sake of grabbing attention. It's about having folks on code and together. But young individuals have figured out, well, if you pick up a gun and walk around talking about threatening, using statements that could be interpreted as your point of being here is to shoot folk, now all of a sudden you've lost the message. You've lost the message. When the Nation of Islam shows up somewhere, they don't bring firearms with them. They bring the minister and they bring the message. Let me say that again. When the Nation of Islam shows up somewhere, they bring the minister and they bring the message. They don't bring firearms. They don't sit up here with that kind of thing going. There's a lesson that needs to be learned here. And I'm talking to all of you who are sincere. You have to be very careful about some of these folks who are claiming to be leading what you're doing. You need to be careful and cognizant of that, because I believe that you mean well. I believe you mean well, but if you allow individuals who are out here with their own ulterior agenda, that's a different matter. When they have their own ulterior agenda. There's where you get into trouble. There's where you get into trouble. Now, the other thing here is I'm not here to sit up here and co-sign everybody who shows up, because in the case of these individuals who were doing the most yelling, your paperwork came back dirty. Your paperwork came back bad. It came back bad months ago, and I don't need to hear or see anything else. You're on your own. When you had an opportunity to demonstrate that you possess the maturity and the discipline, you failed the test. So as far as I'm concerned, no. As far as I'm concerned, no. The paperwork came back dirty. Let's be very, very clear about something. The best these new jacks could have done was sit at our feet and learn. Instead, what they demonstrated was they had some ulterior agenda that had nothing to do with black folk and certainly nothing to do with progressing anything, which is why all they can really do is sit up here and say, join our next Twitter space, but they're not getting anything done. Join our next Twitter spot. That ain't what it's about. You can get together and talk. We're going to have a rally. That's great. That's wonderful. But you gonna have to earn credibility in these circles, and the dudes y'all got over there doing the most talking, they've lost their credibility. So as far as I'm concerned, the rest of you, I suggest you go ahead and discard them, because I was the first out the gate to say it. I didn't try to be diplomatic about it, and I ain't gonna be diplomatic now. There is no seat at the table for you. There is no seat at the table for you. There is no seat at the table for you. You can sweep the floor. You can wash the dishes. There is no seat at the table for you. You don't have the maturity. You don't have the intellect. You don't have the seasoning. You don't have the gravitas. All you got is the desire for clout and attention. We don't need more teeny boppers out here trying to get somebody to slide in their DMs. You don't have anywhere to take us, and of those of you who've been talking the loudest and whatnot, clearly you're not going anywhere. So that is why I wanted to make it very, very clear. If the word is about pulling up, pull up or shut up. It's time for you to just go ahead and shut up. You ain't got nothing to offer. You don't have anything to offer. We don't need somebody jumping out here and whatnot trying to make up another slogan. We already got that. If you're about that business, you wouldn't be sitting up here yelling for us anyway. Let's be clear. The last I heard from these jackasses, they were talking about how they wanted to do their own thing. They don't want to be B1. They don't want to be FBA. They don't want to be anything. You know what? You need to just sit over there in the corner and be nothing. That works out just fine. Sit in the corner and be nothing. You can start by being quiet. You can start there. Save yourself more embarrassment. Save yourself more embarrassment. But you are not going to sit up here after all these months of being a disruption and then, the new black media need to come support us. Support you for what? Support you going where? Support you to get what done? What exactly is it that we were going to support you for? The time for you to be getting support was months ago. I don't see anything to support. I don't see nothing to support. And the fact that you were whining and crying about it shows you're not ready. And in the words of Dr. Dre, you incapable of becoming what you're trying to be. You're taking a look at dudes who put in the work over the course of decades. You're taking a look at men who didn't go around name dropping and trying to get other folk to acknowledge us, just sat down and said, do the work day after day. You see, it's going to be hard for you to rise. It's not really going to work for you, because in order for you to rise, you'd have to establish yourselves as intellectual thought leaders. That ain't what you are. That's not what you are. You're not thought leaders. You're not intellectual leaders. You're not deep individuals who have solutions to things. You sling slogans and memes. And what you found out is that memes don't really carry you very far. See, you think that's what we do, and that's not what we do. Roland Martin isn't whining and complaining about us because of a hashtag. They're whining and complaining because there has been clear, concrete mass action on the ground. That's what they're complaining about. Tiffany Cross isn't complaining because of a meme or a hashtag. The Democrats sent her out because there has been substantial, concrete, massive action across the board. That's what they're sending her out for. They're going places and they're hearing the same damn thing over and over again, and now it's showing in the numbers. She didn't come out talking about a hashtag or a meme. They're talking about the numbers. They're talking about the fact that we were saying, hey, you know what? If no one's offering us anything, stay home. No tangibles, no vote. We're staying home. That's what they're coming out talking about. You see a lot of signs and you saw a lot of placards out there, but the simple idea of no tangibles, no vote, that one's already out the gate and rolling. That one's already out the gate and rolling. That's what they have a problem with. That's what the Democrats and their bootlicks in the media are complaining about. And that's the result of over a decade of relentless, uncompromising work in that direction. You can't jump up in the year 2022, think you're going to have a Twitter space, and then all of a sudden the war is over. It doesn't work that way. There are some of you who think that you're going to win the revolution on Twitter. It ain't happening. Not going to occur. And you found out the hard way that that's not going to do anything. It's very easy to get some short-term attention, but as far as actual concrete results on the ground, no. And once again, I am not being disrespectful of those of you who your hearts are in the right place. I'm talking about the clout chasing niggas who sat up here and thought that they were going to splinter things off. As far as I'm concerned, you've already made your decision. When you came out months ago and decided that in your prepubescent failure to make it out of adolescence, that you were going to try to attack the new black media, specifically myself, as far as I'm concerned, once you do that right there, you're on your own. You're on your own. What you can do from here on in is you can make an anonymous contribution. What you can do from here on in is sweep the floors, but we are not going to trust you to lead anything. There's no point and there's no use in you discussing, bringing us up, mentioning my name, talking about what I ain't doing for you. I can't do nothing for you but give you boots to kiss. That's all I can do for you. I can't do nothing for you and don't want anything else with you. I don't want anything else with you. All you can do is snap to attention and follow the 5-star general's orders. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. You can't do anything beyond that. We don't have anything else for you. You sitting in the cut saying, well, one day I'm going to get my chance and I'm going to lead. That day ain't coming. Not now, not ever. That day is never going to get here. Never gonna get here. Never gonna happen. You are never going to make it into the front of this because people are not looking to you for answers. You've had the better part of a year now to, if you were, let me explain something to you now. If you're gonna talk about insurrections and uprisings, if you're going to try to talk about insurrections and uprisings, the time for you to establish yourself as credible thought leaders was when you were sitting up here holding your internet powwows, skirt chasing. If we're going to just keep it real, when you were sitting up here with your international skirt chasing going on, that was the time for you to try to establish yourselves as thought leaders. But then again, you'd actually have to have a thought that somebody could glom onto and could latch on to. You failed the test. You failed the test. The time for you to establish yourselves as serious, credible thought leaders was then. You got to understand, see, the issue with old Tone Talks was that he failed to establish himself as a thought leader. He failed to establish himself as a thought leader. ADOS is not a thought. You're describing a lineage, but you ain't got a thought. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what you're doing. Come back next week so we can sit up here and regurgitate it all over again. You're not a thought leader. And then you realize if a person isn't actually a thought leader, then what do they have? All they got's a hustle. All they really have is a hustle. Or at least the hope of establishing a hustle. And what they're looking for are people who have credibility that they think can reinforce their non-existent credentials and allow the hustle to get some rocket fuel behind it. There's where things went bad. You couldn't get no rocket fuel behind it. And you're just the latest in a long line of individuals who thought it was going to work out and it didn't. Because it can't. Because it can't. And let's be very, very clear. If you actually did have an ideology, you don't need me. If you actually had an ideology, you wouldn't need me anyway. If you actually had an ideology, you don't need to come crying to me. Nigga, dig in and do what you gonna do. Let's be very, very clear. What I'm saying is, where in the hell is all that tough talk that I was hearing 3 months ago? Where the hell is all that damn tough talk from the teeny bopper Nickelodeon Nick at Night wing of Twitter, Black Twitter whining? Y'all was big on tough talk 3-4 months ago. I'm like, keep that energy. Keep that energy. Where you at now, Ren and Stimpy? SpongeBob Black Pants, where you at now? You don't need me for nothing. I already heard what you had to say. Already heard what you had to say. Already heard that. At this point right now, you don't need me for nothing. Dig in and get to work. All you got to do now is dig in and get to work. My name shouldn't be coming up. My name shouldn't even be coming up right now. You should be able to get that to work on your own. If you're not, that's a different matter. You don't need to be whining to me about it. You don't need to be whining to me about it. If you already got the juice like that, you don't need to whine to me. That's not necessary. That's not necessary. Don't sit up here and complain to somebody else. If you really own like that and it's really popping, get to work. But as far as I'm concerned, I heard the best you had to offer. You said that months ago. From here on in, grind and make it do what it do. Grind and make it do what it do. If you can. But so far, we've seen the best you got to offer. Not a lot to say there. You see, if you're gonna launch an insurrection, you need to understand the art of war. If you're gonna launch an insurrection, first of all, you have got to have competent operatives. Y'all ain't got them. You have a bunch of immature dweebs sitting up here thinking that internet trolling constitutes an ideology. So first of all, you do not have competent operatives. Second of all, you do not have resources, neither physical, financial, nor intellectual. Third of all, you don't have anybody who's won any battles. You don't have that. You don't have anyone who has won any battles. You don't have anyone who has been able to do that. What you have are streetwalkers, high school dropouts, middle school misfits, lead pipe babies with a whole bunch of complaints. And what they've been doing is looking for a damn mommy figure, or more importantly, a daddy figure all this time. You dealing with grown ass people, you ain't supposed to be looking for no daddy figures over here. But you came looking for a daddy figure, and since you come from backgrounds where your mama's apparently off of this abusive stuff, you don't sit up here and know how to humble yourself in front of proper masculine leadership, so you respond to masculine leadership the way your raggedy ass mammy does. Now we treating you like grown men, and it's like, you know what? You're not children. If you were children, I would spank you. You're grown people. What I do is throw your ass out in the street. That's what I do. I don't spank you, and I don't sit here and argue with you. We just throw your grown ass out in the street. That's where you go. Well, now they out there in the streets and saying, I'll be damned. Can you let me back in? What we gonna do here? What we gonna do? What we gonna do here? That's the issue. That's the issue. So yeah, they feel some kind of way because they actually had an opportunity to try to deal with things differently, and it didn't work. And they feel some way about that now because now you actually had an opportunity to see whether or not people were going to follow you to anything. You were checking to see if you were actually able to grab folk to follow you, and what you found out is like, oh, well, that didn't work out very well. That didn't work out very well. So no, keep my name out your mouth. Don't worry about what's going on over here. I don't have anything to offer you except one suggestion. You better figure it out on your own. I'm sure that this group of very enthused teenage dropout rebellionists, I'm sure you'll figure it out. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Or not. Or not. But if anyone was wondering what I was thinking about it, or if anyone was wondering what my position was on it, I just wanted you to be aware of what my position was. My position is, don't call me up or come begging to me for anything. I don't promote rallies. I don't promote get-togethers. I don't promote those kind of things, especially for entities or individuals I don't know. I'm not your press club. I'm not your press agent. And what I have seen hasn't impressed me. Most of it's offended me. What you found out was the teeny bopper wing. What you need to do now is sit up here and say, hey, let me go ahead and just back the play of the senior folk who actually know what the hell they're doing. We don't need, this isn't the time for amateur night. This is the time for the damn varsity team. This isn't amateur night. That's what I'm trying to tell you. At this late date, we ain't got time for amateur night. What you need to do is be back in the play, and that's it. This isn't the time for that. If you want to have rallies and sit up here and hold up your signs and everything, go ahead and knock yourself out. Nobody is downing that. Nobody is criticizing that. But for you clout chasers, there's a reason you ain't heard a damn word from Jason Black, and you're not going to. There's a reason for that. Everything that you were warned about before now, that's where you're at. In the chat room, you're absolutely correct. It's just A Dunce 2.0. It's A Dunce 2.0 because we all know what happens from here, don't we? See, what they're showing is they couldn't even make it a full damn year. At least A Dunce was able to make it a year. These clowns weren't even able to make it a whole year. So first what happens is they start They try to hijack what we made and try to hijack it for them and corrupt it and co-opt it for themselves. When they fail to be able to adequately do that, then they're going to try to go after the individuals that they wish they could be like, but they could never become. So then they start taking shots at the established individuals who have accomplished what they wish they could have, but never could. When that falls flat and fails, then they declare themselves to be the winners and the independent entities. But when they can't actually get any traction from that because you cannot wish nor make believe yourself to success, what happens next? They start turning on each other. Now, we've all seen this a number of times already. This is the next logical step. This is what usually happens. They sit up and start fighting with each other. Well, it's your fault that things wasn't better. We don't need no Jason Black. If you would just listen to me, then things would have went different. And then there'll be some other hoghead nigga jump up. If y'all are listening to me now, I've been out of prison now for 2 years. So I've seen both sides of the white supremacist hierarchy here. And if you would just listen to me for a little bit, that's what would have happened now. That's what would have happened if you just listen to me for a little bit. Then the hoes will jump up. The real problem is you men don't bow to the black female goddess feminist third eye ideology. That's what happens next. They tell you that that's the problem. That if you guys had been listening a little bit more, it would have been different. That's what they tell you. It would have been different if you had listened a little bit more. So there's where you can look for things to go next. You can pretty much look for it to go next in that direction. That's pretty much where they're going to wind up going. Just look for them to start doing that because they have to, because that's the only place you get left when you don't have any other place to try to aggregate attention from. You gotta find somebody new to go after. You gotta go do that. And there's the reason I don't want you around, and I didn't need 2 or 3 times to figure out what was going on. Once I saw the first time that you guys were not serious and it was the teeny boppers sitting up here looking for internet clout, I was done with it right then. Now, if there's the rest of you, if you're sitting up here, and I really got to say something directly here. I don't really rock with folks who run around chit-chatting with people who've made it clear that they're against me. They go after me personally or something like that. I just want you to understand, I see some of you cornball ass niggas who do that. I see some of y'all who do that. And I just want you to understand, I know I've seen you and I know that's what you're doing. So I hope you don't think that I'm not aware. I hope you don't think I'm not aware. Because that's not true. I just want you to understand that. I just want you to understand that. It isn't that I don't see it, and it's not that I'm not aware. It's just I do what I'm supposed to do. I just sit back and I watch how it goes down. I'm like, okay, I see you over there. I see you. I see you. And that's what we need to do. So for everybody who thinks they on the low, when I see you sitting up here supporting and shouting out and liking these folk, just understand, nigga, you done snitched on yourself. Just because I haven't said your name doesn't mean I don't see you. You done snitched on yourself. And that's good. See, you got all that anger and animosity bottled up. Let me give y'all a little bit of talk about hate tonight. Let me give y'all a little bit of talk about hating tonight. One of the things that happened during my period of absence here is there were some individuals who've been hating on me for a long ass time. And in the midst of what was going on, they kind of saw an opportunity to express what they had been feeling the entire time. So they kind of expressed it in the form of, I hope you don't get better. Well, unfortunately for they ass, that didn't work out. But when you're dealing with folks who they have spent their lives failing, and then they take a look at you and they're like, I'll be damned, there's somebody who can actually execute, somebody who actually epitomizes the word competence, getting things done, the ability to see something through from beginning to process to end in a timely and efficient manner. Well, I'll be damned. Well, now you have to compare yourself to that person. Now you got to compare yourself to them. And if you've been sitting in their shadow all this time, you've never really been able to distinguish yourself. You've been sitting in their shadow all this time. Yeah, you kind of salty after all this time. You see, you've been living like a legend in your own mind, telling yourself, well, you know, if I could ever get the microphone, if I could ever wrestle it away from Jason's iron grip, if I could ever do that, man, I light this damn thing up. If I could ever get Jason's microphone away from him, then everything would be all right. Nigga, that's hallucination. That's not even dreaming, that's just hallucination. You got to be doing some potent fentanyl to come up with that one. Cause even if I handed you the mic, you couldn't pick that damn thing up. It'd be like Thor's hammer. It would be like Thor's hammer. It'd be like Excalibur. You sitting up here trying to yank it out the damn stone. It ain't coming for you. It's not coming for you. You can sit there and daydream and fantasize all you want to. It's not coming for you. Even if I handed you the mic, the only thing it would do is drop through your damn hands. You can't pick it up. You can't hold it. You can't use it. All it would do is sit there on the ground. You don't have the ability to pick this thing up and make it do what it do. You could sit there on Twitter holding a Twitter space marathon till Jesus comes back. And you know what's going to happen? All you're going to do is be however old it is. And that's it. But what you're not going to do, even if you were given the so-called position that you think you want to have, it ain't going to work for you. No, and as far as the side hating, as far as the tether side hating, let me just tell you, some of you oddball ass niggas, there's a reason I keep you around for comic relief. There's a reason I keep you around for that. What I'm trying to show you is, nigga, you ain't no threat. You're not a threat. I could see it different if you was a threat, but that's not what you are. You damn sure ain't that. You can post up morning, noon, and damn me night. You ain't never gonna get on. I know in your mind you tell yourself that there's this huge phalanx of people who they're just waiting for you to give the word. Why, if you can just put up enough Twitter posts and Facebook posts and Instagram posts and YouTube hate video, why, if you could just do enough, why, there's this groundswell of support that just can't wait to jump on your bandwagon. How many years has it been? 6 years. Okay, it sounds like the bandwagon ain't coming, nigga. 6 years, it sounds like the bandwagon ain't coming. You better keep your day job. The bandwagon ain't coming. Better tell your bro hit the track. The bandwagon ain't coming, nigga. It's not coming. I'm not scared of you. I'm not worried. You ain't got no clout. You ain't got no pull. You'll be here for the next 50 years saying exactly what the hell you saying right now, but you ain't got no pull. And I just want you to sit here and witness as the world passes your ass by. There's no hate involved. There's no hate involved. And by the way, that also extends to the tether females. By the way, I ain't forgot about you. I haven't forgotten about you. I ain't missed that. You sitting over there with them dudes, sitting up here staling and failing. You're sitting over there with them staling and failing. There ain't nothing over here for you neither. There's nothing over here for you neither. failures need to be together in a little basket. That's where they need to be at. You need to be right there in the little basket. Just because your ass didn't get blocked, what that really means is I'm just letting you know you ain't no threat. You're not a threat. And if it burns you up and got you hating even more, that's exactly the whole point, but you're not a threat. You're not a threat. I know y'all think if enough haters get together, you can form the Legion of Supervillains. The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, or evil Tethers, or whatever the hell. Y'all figure if there's enough of you who get together in a group, you can sit up here and we'll combine our powers. Okay, first you got to have powers before you can combine them. That's my first suggestion, by the way. If you're going to come for me, first of all, you need to get some powers to combine. That's my first suggestion. I know I should really just be sitting over here right now letting you all figure it out, but by the way, I couldn't help but notice this clown car you put together doesn't look like it's going to be very much entertainment for me, so if you're going to come at me, I figure it'll be entertaining. If you're going to combine your powers, you need to first get some powers, then combine them. Yeah, you're not doing it in the right order. Number 1 is get powers, number 2, combine them. Don't number 1 combine, number 2 get powers. No. This will never work. I know, I'm not supposed to be coaching you to come after me, but I just want to take a moment to let you know, by the way, is if you're going to do a thing, at least do it right. So at least get some powers to combine first. And there's another thing. I wish my haters would hang out with some chicks who wasn't crazy. That's the next thing. If you're going to be a hater, at least let your broad not be slap, cold, funky Medina crazy. At least don't be stone cold funky Medina crazy. Please don't. At least don't have that. Somebody in the room needs to be at least halfway sensible. A crazy nigga with some crazy hoes does not mix very well. So at the very least, if you're gonna be hating on somebody, one of y'all needs to be competent and sensible, okay? And I know crazy chicks have awesome sex. I understand that. But some of you dudes, just because she the best you could do, some of you dudes, okay. Some of you dudes need to catch a clue. I'm just being totally honest. Some of you dudes need to catch a clue, man. You need more options. You need more options. You really, really do. You really, really do. You're not really ready for this. You're not really ready for this. This is not really going to go the way you thought it was going to be. It's just not a real thing to have. It just really isn't. It just really isn't. I'm just saying. I'm not going to spill too much more ink over this, but I figured if I'm going to come back on the scene, you want to see a pull-up, I'm showing you how you pull up strong on it. Don't look for me to be mentioning it anymore. Don't be looking for that. I'm just letting you know out the gate. Yeah, I saw you over there flopping around on the ground like a fish. I heard your weak little mewling, whining, wafting over the hills. Jason, help me. Jason Black, please help us. Nobody knows we're here. We got us and 5 of our closest friends together. We stole your hashtags and your memes because we don't have any of our own. And we pulled up our Huggies. And we put on our little cotton booties. And we marched down to the courthouse. And we tried not to use your slogans, but we don't have any of our own, so we had to use them anyway. And nobody cared. Jason, please help. And then you heard that booming voice come over the hills. And you heard it there, and you said to yourselves, oh, I think he's listening there. And you said, Black first, brothers. Oh, he's listening to us. Jason, are you coming to help? Yes, I've got some help for you right now, as a matter of fact. Oh, goody! Oh, good! What type of help can you give us, Jason? I can help your ass off my Twitter page, nigga! That's what I can do right now. Delete. Then the damn daycare went nuts. Oh, the howling and screaming was unbearable. They're putting up memes, they're putting up posts, they're like, damn, does somebody have his phone number so we can crank call? They thought that they had finally escaped from the daycare, found themselves trapped behind the little doggy door. Oh man. Well, there goes that. All I got to say to y'all is you know who your daddy is. But from here on in, you gonna have to carry the weight. You gonna have to carry the weight, but keep my name out your mouth. I ain't got nothing for you. Keep my name out your mouth. We're gonna go ahead and take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. I know you've been waiting and fiending, and I got even more to talk about here right now. As a matter of fact, when I come back, I'm going to open up the telephone lines. But before I do, I want to send a shout out here to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal or Cash App or Super Chat. So Brenda Starr, Ryan S., Hector, Tamara, Cocaine, OG, Asa, Snaps, and everybody else here. Thank you very much for your support tonight. We appreciate that. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When I come back, I got a few choice words to catch up things on Joe Biden, a couple of other folks I want to talk about. Yeah, I know Roland Martin been talking reckless. We got more to cover here, and we're going to do that. This is The Black Channel.
Are you tired of being overcharged and forced into paying a monthly subscription for your Mac and Windows software? Well, if you are, currently we're having a 50% off discount on all the latest Mac and Windows software, such as AutoCAD, SolidWorks, Photoshop, Microsoft Office, and much more. Our 50% off discount will be ending soon, so be sure to text us NEED SOFTWARE to 323-407-8214. That's 323-407-8214. We aim to please, so expect 24/7 technical support, the latest premium software, instant software links delivered to your email, and PayPal's buyer's protection guarantee.
When you need a reliable influx of capital to grow your business, Spectre Capital Finance provides fast, individualized working capital loans with lines of credit to take your business to the next level. SpectreCapitalFinance.com.
Hey, I'm Marcus. For a while, I walked around with this empty feeling inside. I had a full-time job, but not in the field I wanted to be in. But then I came across this book where it was like, the title was just for me. Guide to Being Black in IT. I read the book and the author took me through scenarios and gave me tips. I sat down and read it and it only took an hour. After I got done, I took advice in the book, practiced in the labs, and got certified. Then I literally got up and applied for a position with this company I've been looking at for a while and got the job. Thanks to that book, I worked my job with confidence. If you're looking to get into IT or even in the field, now this is a must-read book. Go to www.beingblackInIT.com.
I am black first. I am empowered. I am on code. I am motivated. I am a proud foundational. My name is Noria Sellers, and nothing will come between us. Buy the sci-fi novel, Nothing Will Come Between Us. Order today at Amazon and Google Play. Visit spiritofo1811publishing.com. Our story, our family.
Join sixzeros.net, a forum built to discuss all things relevant to Black people. On our forum, a check doesn't mean you're famous. It means your Blackness has been verified by our staff.
Sorry, Chad.
We also have premium merchandise with same-day shipping on most orders. And when you're ready for some dope content, check out the 0 Hour blog.
Don't you sign up, post.
I'm having a really good time with you tonight.
I'm having a good time with you too.
Want to go somewhere private just for us?
I like that.
Great. Meet me at sixzeros.net. Black owned, Black operated.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. Thank you here. Big shout out to Chris Ellis, Willie Joe Jesus, Go Mac, Immigrant B1, and everyone who's contributed to support tonight's program here on the Super Chat. Thank you very much for your support here. Couple of little things also in particular I want to touch on here as well. While we're doing everything else, there's a lot going on here, and yes, we're gonna get to rolling at some point here. So obviously he's off in his little feelings. We're gonna get to him in our good time here. But just to remind people of things you might not have been thinking about here, Biden, in the realm of things that really matter here, Biden has been pardoning supposedly thousands of people for simple possession of marijuana. Somebody is really, really scared and worried out there if this is the best they can come up with. Now, here's the killing part about it. The killing part about it is it's only 6,000 people for simple marijuana possession. The things that really matter, they ain't getting caught. That's not being dealt with. Simple marijuana possession. You see, this is a result of the black media. When you got Biden doing all the, can we forgive student loans and can we let some folks get out here? If you got caught with marijuana, can we go ahead and do something with that? And we're sitting up here saying, oh, hell no. Hell no. This doesn't move the needle. This isn't what we were looking for. We didn't ask you for this. We didn't ask you for this. I want to read to you here from CNBC's article about this. And by the way, most of these articles, the overwhelming majority of these articles talking about this, do not show Joe Biden's face. You just see a bunch of weird ass pictures and things, but they don't show Joe Biden's face. That's the crazy part about this. When you go looking up these articles and whatnot, they don't show the president. They got an article saying his name, but they're not showing him. Now, isn't that interesting? On CNBC's website, it says Biden pardons thousands of people convicted of marijuana possession, orders review of federal pot laws. Now, listen to this. President Joe Biden on Thursday pardoned thousands of individuals convicted of possessing marijuana, saying the current system, quote, makes no sense, and sending pot stocks soaring on the news. So white folk getting money off of this. The pardons only apply to federal offenders convicted of, quote, simple marijuana possession, as well as those charged in the District of Columbia, but Biden called on governors across the country to follow suit. Quote, just as no one should be in a federal prison solely due to the possession of marijuana, no one should be in a local jail or state prison for that reason either, Biden said in the statement. Very interesting, because Biden's 3 strikes law, that was exactly what it was made to do. Biden's 3 strikes law, that's exactly what it was made to do. And it's been performing its job swimmingly. It's been performing its job swimmingly. Now, isn't that amazing? Yeah. He goes on to say here that the article goes on to say more than 6,500 individuals with prior convictions for simple marijuana possession were impacted by the pardons, a White House official said, and thousands more through pardons under D.C. law. The pardons will not be extended to those who weren't U.S. citizens and were illegally in the country at the time of their arrest. In addition to the pardons, Biden announced that he has instructed Secretary of Health and Human Services Javier Becerra and Attorney General Merrick Garland to begin reviewing how marijuana is classified under federal drug laws. Do y'all think he's trying to get his son off the hook? I don't know. Your son was doing a little bit more than weed, though, Biden, so all right. Biden noted that marijuana is currently a Schedule 1 substance under federal drug sentencing guidelines, the same as heroin and LSD, and more serious than fentanyl, he said. It makes no sense. It makes perfect sense. It's the war on black people. It makes perfect sense. It's called the war on black people. The Justice Department's Office of the Pardon Attorney will take the lead on administering Biden's proclamation, an agency spokeswoman said. Did you all even know that there was a Justice Department Office of the Pardon Attorney? That nigga ain't been doing no work. There's an Office of the Pardon Attorney. The Pardon Attorney ain't been doing a damn thing so far as I can tell. Who the hell has he been helping? Talk about a useless government job. Who is he helping? Did you even know that office existed? I didn't know. That goes along with not doing nothing. He's sitting there collecting a check, but it's not because he's the hardest working man in government. It's damn sure not that. That doesn't make any sense. They go on to say, in the coming days, the office will implement a formal process to provide pardoned individuals with a certificate of pardon, she added. The proclamation also formally restored to these individuals all their political, civil, and other rights that were denied to them as felons. Quote, there are thousands of people who were convicted for marijuana possession who may be denied employment, housing, or educational opportunities as a result, Biden said. My pardon will remove this burden on them. The relatively small number of people who were actually pardoned Thursday obscures the massive role that marijuana plays in the American criminal justice system. Every year, arrests for marijuana possession typically account for between 40 and 50% of all drug arrests nationwide. According to research compiled by the American Civil Liberties Union, between 2010 and 2018, there were 6 billion arrests in the United States for marijuana possession. In 2018 alone, for marijuana, quote, than for all violent crimes combined. Let me say that again. In 2018 alone, police made more arrests for marijuana than all violent crimes combined. Well, no wonder you got so many violent criminals out here shooting up the streets, easy access to guns. It isn't because the government's targeting them. It isn't because of that. They went on to say the ACLU data also shows that these arrests disproportionately impacted people of color and low-income communities, serving to deepen existing structural inequalities. Quote, too many lives have been upended because of our failed approach to marijuana, Biden said. It's time that we right these wrongs. That's great. When you gonna right it, sir? Beyond Washington, Thursday's news represents a major victory for the country's nascent marijuana industry, which has struggled to gain access to major financial markets due to disparities within the patchwork of state laws that govern marijuana possession. Now, let's be very clear about something. Roland Martin is going to come and tell all of us that this is doing something for black people. Let's make sure you understand that. Roland Martin is going to come and tell you that this constitutes doing something for black people. When we say what has Biden done for black people, Roland Martin and Tiffany Cross are going to say, this is what he did for black people. You ain't listening to me. This is what he did for black people. You just don't want to give him no credit. But he's going to tell you that this is what was done for black people. When you ask, what did he do to benefit black folk, Roland Martin's going to tell you this was it. This was it. Yeah, this is supposed to be something for black folk. Just understand the game that they're playing. So if you want to know why it is they're in full-blown panic mode, is because after Biden does that, he knows the black media is going to jump right on it and say, man, that doesn't do anything. Man, that doesn't do anything. That doesn't do anything at all. We're not sitting around here trying to figure out how to get our marijuana charges taken care of. Most of the folk you're talking about is too little too late for them any damn way. It's too little too late for them any damn way. No, we don't need that right there. We already said what we needed. So when we talk about cut the check, that's the reason that we say that. When we say cut the check, that's the reason that we're bringing that up. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. As always, you are welcome to join us. So you can go ahead and give us a call. The telephone number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Sit back, smile, and dial. This is your opportunity to go ahead and check in with us. Also, I want to thank everyone who's contributed to support tonight's program. So Mark B, Najee, Chadwick, Leslie, Charlotte, and everyone else who's contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. And for all of you who might be new to joining me here on my secondary channel, TBA, make sure you click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell so you can join us each and every time that we are here. There's a reason why we are the headquarters of the black media. There's a reason why the folks hate that. There's a reason why Roland is going to scream and yell as loud as he can to get folks to try to ignore what we're talking about here, because this is real change. And when they're throwing up smoke screens that don't matter, then when he tries to sit up here and say, well, let me see if I can get me a bigger check from Biden from telling black folk that Biden actually did something. See, he pardoned thousands of people with marijuana. Thousands of folk. Dude, it hasn't been thousands of people affected. It's been millions. It's been millions. And this is all the more reason for reparations. You got a bunch of black folk who've done football numbers in prison for weed. Freeway Rick and others. They need reparations. They need reparations for this. If you're not talking reparations, you ain't talking nothing. You all know I already did the definitive analysis about this in California. The Armenians got the damn marijuana game locked down in California. When they're giving out the licenses, they're bypassing black folk and have dropped a bunch of them off to the Armenians. Shout out Kim Kardashian. They're bypassing the black folk who have actually opened those markets and suffered the real damage from it. Bypassed them and said, hey, we need some white folk to get the damn money now. You doing everything but talking about that. Don't tell me that that's doing anything for black folk. That's not going to make it. That ain't doing a damn thing for black people. But you might disagree. Therefore, if you do, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Let's go ahead and get the phone lines open. Let me get caller from area code 319. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, how you doing? This is Adonis from Iowa.
Adonis from where at in Iowa?
Oh, sorry about that. Des Moines.
Adonis from Des Moines, what's on your mind?
I just want to point out, I lived out there in Oregon for a while, and I know a lot of these people had so much money that because they couldn't take it across state lines, they have warehouses with guards where they guard all this money because they have so much, So these people that have been doing they're already so far ahead that, like you said, we're going to, even if marijuana was legalized, these black people that we know, they know how to cultivate, grow and sell it, like they're already starting so far behind. Secondly, I just want to say, how many people do we know that are in federal prison for simple marijuana possession? This is not getting anyone out of prison or anything like that. This is obviously a political just a move to make them look good, basically.
Yeah, simple marijuana possession. The prison industrial complex wasn't built on marijuana possession. It wasn't built on marijuana possession. So he knows what he's doing. These are supposed to be headlines that fool people into thinking they open the floodgates and undoing these things, and in reality, they're not. And I was reading other stories that's showing a bunch of white folk. I read another story here that was showing a bunch of white folk who are beneficiaries of this. That's the crazy part about it. So I guess he got his son in his crosshairs to help him out, I suppose. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get a caller from area code 929. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, Jason. My name is Daryl from Chicago.
Daryl from Chicago. What's on your mind?
First off, Jason, glad you're back, and we pray for you getting good health. So keep that going. Number one, and second thing, Jason, that this broadcast is off the charts, and it's really unbelievable. And again, this is just proof that the situation with what we're doing and being on code is coming to pass, and it's changing the narrative. It's making the Democrats really, really nervous. It really is. And that's all I have to say. Be one.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 213. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes, this is the real brother. I'm calling from Los Angeles. What bothers me the most about you and Roland Martin and all the other black
listen to me carefully, sir. Hang up the phone.
Oh my God, you're scared of me.
Hang up the phone. Just hang up the phone. Yes, sir. I'm terrified of your babble.
You haven't given Democrats a plan.
Y'all, for those of you who don't remember, I thought the real brother had OD'd on fentanyl. If you all would know who Diamond and Silk get their crack cocaine from and sit around smoking it with, it's the real brother. I thought he had OD'd. I thought he had OD'd on meth. I thought he was one of them folk doing meth on Breaking Bad. I thought he was gone. I had no idea he was still slithering around out there somewhere. Like herpes. It's just 1 minute he's gone. You think you got him treated. You've been taking your damn Valtrex. You thought you had it treated. Next thing you know, poop. Right back again. Damn. Like verbal herpes, boy. It's been a while, and you're like, actually, I think my stuff done gone in remission. I'm good. Boom, there he is. Surprise, nigga. Okay, so he's still out there. Like I said, y'all saw I didn't abuse him. I'm just like, yeah, dude, you gotta get off the line. It's just this is not the night for the clown car. It really, really isn't. It really, really isn't. Let me get a call from area code 859. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Caller from area code 859. Last try. You're on live. Caller from 859 has been abducted. Caller from area code 248. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Charlotte from Farmington Hills.
All right, Charlotte from Farmington Hills, where?
Farmington Hills, Michigan. Sorry.
All right, Charlotte from Farmington Hills, Michigan. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was just wanted to comment on that. The group that Secure the Tribe group that they had those rallies, and I guess they called them pull-ups, and I just couldn't understand why they were doing so much whining. Why? I don't understand why, just do the work. If they're doing something constructive and they want to protest and they want to get the word out about reparations, just do that. Why complain about what you're not doing or what Tariq is not doing? I don't understand all that vitriol that they have for the new black media. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, certainly what it's supposed to do, the goal is supposed to be to provide a safe haven for individuals who they want to roll next to us because they hate us. So this is supposed to provide a safe haven for those individuals to be able to aggregate. So if you're a two-faced snake in the grass and you really actually hate Jason Black because he's talking about concrete things that you don't feel capable of actually performing, these guys are supposed to be riding right close enough to us that it gives you, some type of cover to be sitting still over here, but to hate. Now you've got some side area where you can hate on folk. That's the whole idea. And we've been seeing this forever and ever. Because let's be very, very clear. By my estimates, there's about 70% of my audience that rocks with me for real. And then there's another 30% they despise me. They cannot, they are hoping for disaster. Nothing would make them happier than to hear the door kicked in and the feds say, Jason, get your hands up. Nothing would make them happier than to hear that. They love that. They enjoy it. They've been wishing for it for years and their ship just never came in. So just understand that there is a segment that's sitting here and they hate the entire time. They wish Roland Martin would become the voice of the black media. They wish that Kamala Harris would become Queen of America, damn president. They really do want that. And they're sitting over here because their cause, their side, their perspective is losing momentum. Their side is losing momentum, so they're just sitting over here rage watching, rage listening, and hoping that they get up one morning and everything is radically changed. The issue for them is it ain't happening. That's the problem. But just understand what it is. They think that they're setting up some shadow cabinet within what we're doing where all the folks who hate us can sit here and pretend to be listeners, but where they're actually hating. That's the whole idea. Now that the rug has been pulled off of yet another clandestine movement, now they got to come out and say what they really think. And see, here's where you run aground. This thing doesn't work if you have to come out and say what you really think, because the majority doesn't go with that. So it does you no good. It destroys it if you have to come out and say it. This only works if you can sit here next to us and say, yay, Jason, and go Jason, and take Professor Truth with you. It only works if you can do that. It doesn't work if you actually have to come out and say, you know what, Jason, I don't like that mess you talking about. You telling me to get up off my ass and make something happen. I ain't trying to hear all that. Just hand me the WIC voucher. That's the problem. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get a caller from area code 510. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's August from Oakland.
August from Oakland, what's on your mind?
Well, I just wanted to speak on the Joe Biden so-called pardons or whatever. First, in 2008, I got a 2-year prison sentence for an ounce of marijuana, which at that time was called a felony possession if it's an ounce or more. I'm talking about San Quentin, Susanville, real prison. And, people don't even believe me when I tell them that. But anyway.
Let me find out. Well, let me ask you a couple of questions about that. Let me ask you a couple of questions about that. How old were you when that happened?
Well, I'm 40 now, so 2008, when I was about 28 or something. My math, I'm 27, something like that. I was in my late 20s.
Okay. Now, was that your first time being arrested for a felony?
No. I grew up in the system, but I have all nonviolent drug offenses. I used to sell crack and all that. That's what I do.
Okay, well that's okay. I just want to get some clarity on it. Now, you did say you were at San Quentin. Here's the only problem. The feds can actually put you anywhere. So, were you doing Fed time or state time?
State time. This wasn't a federal offense.
Okay.
This was I was going to get to the federal thing.
Well, no, I just want to wrap my head around where you're at right now. So we're going to let you go ahead and tell your story about this. I just want to get an idea of just get some cliff notes on what we're talking about here. So basically, you had to do 2 years of state time for possession of marijuana. Was that your only charge? Was just possession, or was it possession with intent to distribute, or what was it?
The original charge, of course, whenever they arrest you on a drug charge, especially if you have priors, they're going to try to get you for possession for sale. You got some money in your pocket. I had like $1,000 in my pocket. You got $1,000 in your pocket. You got any amount of drugs, we're charging you with possession for sales. That's the original what they tried to do, but I fought the case, and they ended up just dropping it to a felony possession, which I pled guilty to.
Okay, so you had the resources to fight your case. Because usually when you take a look at that, he had the resources to fight his case and fight it down to a 2-year bid. Think about that for a moment.
I didn't have any resources. I had the experience of being institutionalized, which I knew that in the actual court of law, even with a public defender, if I fight the fact that they're saying that I had intent to distribute, they can't prove that because I had $1,000 in my pocket and an ounce of marijuana that was intent to sell.
Well, let me be clear. Let me be clear now. I meant what I said. If you have the resources to fight a case, because here's the thing, whether you have a public defender or not, although you can always be more advantageous than a public defender, Freeway Rick got out of prison because he got the intellectual resources to be able to fight his case, because they were going to leave him there for life. So when I talk about the resources to do so, I'm like, yes, that first and foremost includes just knowledge of the law. There's a bunch of folks who are in prison right now who should not be there because the law wouldn't actually allow that to occur. So because of inadequate counsel and inadequate understanding of the law, this isn't even really a financial, it is a financial issue because usually if you need to have a lawyer who won't let that happen in the first place. But like if you're on your own, part of those resources are your intellectual resources to be even able to say, wait a minute, these charges don't even sound right to me. So you're being sent to prison on legalese. And if you can't really understand what the statutes actually mean, notice I didn't say what they said, what they actually mean, because you're convicted by the letter of the law, not the quote unquote intent. And if you find out that, hey, the letter of the law doesn't allow you to do this, well, if you've got the intellectual resources, sometimes you can kick the public defender in the ass and be like, hey, don't tell me you doing me a favor by copping to a 10-year bid because by the letter of the law, they can't really do that. So yes, I meant what I said. If you actually had the resources and the most you could get it down to, he was able to get it down to a 2-year bid. Think about that for a few moments. Even with his experience and his resources, he got it down to a 2-year bid. Because if you did time, we all know how it goes. When you do time, you got like 2 types of inmates, really. Those who are researching to figure out how to get out of there and those who are just taking their sentence and walking it down. The guys who can tell them how to get out of their sentences and whatnot, they kind of become heroes in that regard. But that's a resource. That type of knowledge is a resource. It really is.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, I grew up in the system. I beat a case as my own lawyer before in Oakland. I also I went up against Kamala Harris' office in San Francisco, and they were trying to give me 20 years for serving the police some crack because of my priors, my prison priors and all that. I beat that case with a public defender. So I have my, but I haven't been in jail in over 10 years. So, but to my point, with all that experience and, I did 3 years in the California Youth Authority. I grew up in the system, group homes, boot camps, foster care, juvenile hall, county jail, state prison. I've never met anybody with a federal simple possession charge for marijuana in my life. They're saying, I guess it's 6,000 people. That must be people in D.C. because if you're in D.C., you get arrested, you go to the feds. Nobody gets a federal simple possession charge for marijuana. So it's a nothing burger, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, like I say, that was the first thing. I was like, a simple possession charge. That for the feds, that doesn't even make sense for them. That's not even really worth their time to be able to do that. So you're probably looking at folk who either got plea bargained down or I don't know, because if they're being pardoned, I'm wondering, are they even still in prison or whatever? Or this is just basically letting go of their charges. So they could really be going back. Well, that's what I'm saying. They either that or he's just, either that. I would like to see who it is that they're quote unquote pardoning, because literally this could be people that they already let go of years or decades ago. This for the purpose of saying, oh, well, this will let go of your felony status. So this is something to be on paper that's supposed to impress us. But these could be, the general public will read these things and think pardoning, they're letting them out of prison. Oh, no, these are folk who are already on prison, but they carry around felonies. So this deals with that part of it. Well, but here's the real thing. Just understand that the general public really isn't ignorant, is ignorant deliberately. Nobody explains any of this to them. Nobody explains this to the general public. They really don't. And the news media has a vested interest in making sure the public stays ignorant. They have a vested interest in making sure the public does not truly understand what this means. But in reality, yeah, these are folk who have probably been on the streets now for decades. And he just picked 6,000 of them out of a damn hat and just said, okay, let me go ahead and do this now. Go send that press release to NBC so they can go ahead and throw that up. And then next thing you know, bam, now it sounds like he's being gregarious and generous. And in reality, it's not anything.
They're praising him on all the liberal news outlets and everything, and the comments online are just making it seem like he just, changed the law for the good, and it's none of that. It's none of that.
But here's to understand, though. Like, we got almost 5,000 people up here now. This is why it's important for us to have conversations with folk like you so that we can clarify exactly what that means. So that the general public who's gotten the wrong information can actually hear, hey, wait a minute, here's the truth about it. The truth is, this isn't letting folk out of jail. This is most likely a bunch of people who are already on the street. This isn't setting anybody free. This isn't getting rid of. The general public might think this is getting rid of charges. Like, oh, no, they've already done their time. This is solely about eliminating their felony status. That's all that this is. But they've already carried the weight of whatever the sentence was. That's already a done deal.
Right.
That's a done deal.
Right.
And so now he's going to say, well, I want the states to follow suit. Follow suit what? For the folk they already let go? Let that to do that? How about the ones who are in Georgia getting arrested left and right for marijuana? Shout out badass Boosie. Every time he turns around, he's in handcuffs now. Yeah. Every time he turns around, think about that for a moment. So folk will be thinking that, oh, this will deal with folk in jail. And then these states out here pulling over everything moving. They're grabbing everything moving. So how are you going to get them to go along with that, especially when you have asset forfeiture? Now, you know about that one in California and everything else. Oh, dude, if we can grab you, grab your car and every damn thing else. Now you got to prove that we got to give it back to you. That's a moneymaker for the states.
They'll deny you a gun license too if they can prove that you use marijuana. So if you have any kind of marijuana conviction, that's a reason that, even if you're not a felon, you have a misdemeanor marijuana conviction or you have a medical marijuana card, they'll use that to deny you your firearm license also.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's a whole labyrinth that they're using in that regard. So like I say, this gesture here might impress folk, and it's good to have folk like you call in so we can go ahead and clarify on that exactly what that means, because it doesn't mean what the general public might assume it means. When they hear the word pardon, they naturally assume, understandably, that this is somebody who's in jail and going to be let out. And in reality, it's like, oh no, this doesn't apply to that at all. This does, by what you and I are, now we could be wrong, but I don't think for a minute we are. I don't think we are. I think this applies to people who are already out.
We're not wrong.
This is folk who are already out, and this sounds good.
There's nobody in federal. Yeah.
So in other words, like it could be, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm thinking about this correctly, it could be, I don't know. No, that's probably not. Here's the real thing. It's kind of tricky now because Fed time, depending on when it was, because now, they got truth in sentencing. So, like I say, if they were doing that kind of time, brother, I'm like you. I'm trying to wonder where the hell they were because of truth in sentencing. They would have done 90% of their time. So I can't imagine that they were sent home. Okay, you need to serve out this part for simple possession, but you ain't behind bars. Because they would have had to serve 90% of it behind bars anyway. So I'm like you. I'm wondering, by the way, where the hell did they do their time at? How the hell did you make this work for a simple, what part of their sentence was the simple possession charge? When did you do this? Because of truth in sentencing, that's real hard for that to, like, even for like a 2-year sentence, 4-year sentence. Where the hell did you have them do that at? If you did such a thing. But you're right. I mean, the feds don't really go after people for simple possession.
Yeah, the feds don't arrest people for that. But what they did in California was back in the, like I said, the early 2000s and prior, getting caught with a couple of sacks of weed was the same as getting caught with a bag of crack. They're going to charge you with possession for sales. They're going to offer you a 5-year felony probation. You violate the probation, you're going to the pen. So, like, that was just routine. And then not to mention the probable cause, they got to search people's cars because they smell marijuana. Even though marijuana is in our California culture, they know we smoke weed. You know what I'm saying? So, I smell weed. Well, you got a gun in the car. Oh, you got this in the car. Sad, you're going to prison. That was just routine, and that's how they did it. And, up until maybe even like 2012, as late as 2012, people going to the pen for that. So it's PC 11352A or 353A. It's felony possessing anything over an ounce at the time before they changed the law.
Yeah, you
But,
know,
I'll never
folk
get those
don't know.
back, you know what I'm saying?
When you go out west, for example, and you know, you did your time in California. Even for those of us from the deep south, it's a different thing out there. Like the drug in where I'm from in Louisiana, they don't really kick in doors looking for drugs. They're looking for something else. So they might be looking for a dealer or something, but it's going to take some work to get there. As you all remember, when I was coming through Arizona, Interstate 10, coming through Arizona, heading through I want to say it was Phoenix. I'm sorry, on my way through either Phoenix or Tucson, and the police, the state police out there, yanked me out the damn car in the middle of the night. And you know me, I don't smoke weed. You're not gonna find anything like that. He asked me, "Did you have any drugs in the car?" Whatever. I said no. He asked if it was okay to search the car. I said, as per Supreme Court precedent, no. You do not have my permission to search my vehicle for any reason. He said, "Okay, understood. In the state of Arizona, we have the right to allow the dog to do a preliminary check on your car." The dog, he got the dog in the back of the damn Tahoe. I'm hearing this thing back there prancing around and circling around. So they put me in the damn car. They jump out with the dog. He walks up to my car. It's a black Dodge Charger. I guess they figured, how can we possibly lose? It's a black male with a black Dodge Charger. How can we possibly lose? You can lose.
Right.
The dog supposedly alerts on my car. They yank all my stuff out. I mean, brother, if I had been thinking a little bit more, I would have said, wait a minute, before you put that dog, tell me what the signal is that he gives to alert, so we can all make sure that that's actually what we see. Like I say, that's not something I deal with all the time. In retrospect, I understood I could have said that. So anyway, they get the dog on the car, they yank all my stuff out. Now, you know, I got tens of thousands of dollars in gear, in sensitive camera equipment. It's the middle of the night. The dust is blowing in Arizona. You're on Interstate 10. Cars are going by at 100 miles an hour. And after leaving me on the damn curbside for 20 minutes and then yanked everything out, they didn't get anything. Nothing at all. So what I realized is that in places like California, Arizona, and whatnot, that's part of the system, is flipping folk for drugs. That's just an active thing they do. They're not even really looking for weapons. They're looking for drugs. Now, where I'm from on the eastern side of Texas, it's not like that. But once you get past Texas and you get to those desert states and whatnot, for everybody out there, just understand that's a thing, is trying to yank folk over and get drugs. Not weapons, not nuclear devices, drugs. That's a real thing.
Yeah. Well, that's all I wanted to say, though, brother, man. Just because a lot of people, like, they don't know, they hear some of these Democrat talking points, and they don't know what's really going on.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. In the chat room, you're right. Georgia has really set themselves up as really bad in that regard, too. So they all found out a way to be able to use this, and it's part of what they do to get money, to get folk locked up easy, you know. But it's really, when you can see what the real priority is, public safety doesn't even really make the damn list. Can we grab your car? Can we grab the drugs? Can we forfeit your assets? Everything. I seen it. Georgia, South Carolina. You know, now the further down you go, once you get into Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, it's not really like that. In Texas, not really in Texas. They trying to grab folk for speeding in Texas. That's what they do in Texas. Once you get on the west side of Texas, exception New Mexico, but you know, the trouble states, you know, Nevada, Arizona, California. Yeah, they're trying to get drugs. That's just a real thing. They trying to get drugs. Shout out to Grind Time there in the super chat. We appreciate you here for your support. Burn Rubber, thank you very much for your support as well. Let me get caller from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Alexander from Waukegan, Illinois.
All right, what's on your mind, brother?
Another great broadcast, Jason. I'm just going to be brief with you. Number one, you know, Joe Biden is definitely going to try to, you know, crowbar this marijuana possession. Say, hey, Black America, reelect me. This is like a form of reparations that I did for you guys. So maybe this will actually like boost up my poll rating numbers to get the black vote. Stop it, Joe Biden, like Jim Crow Joe. This is just like another form of 3 strikes. Number two, TBA is good to have you back. You know, last weekend I couldn't go without hearing your broadcast, and it's a delight hearing you tonight, and that you're back and ready as ever. And I just remember actually going through one of the people from Secure the Tribe, their Twitter line, and I ended up scrolling down, and it just said, like, one of the people from Secure the Nobodies ended up putting Marcus Garvey was a tether. Now I looked at him like, Garvey was a tether, and that just really just threw me off about one of the people that from that Secure the Tribe. So they had like a whole different agenda, and I'm glad you, Tariq, and Professor Black Truth really exposed, you know, who they really were, because they weren't pulling up. They were just looking out for their own personal benefits and everything. So I'm going to land my plane in there. D1 FBA Freedman.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. Let me get caller from area code 706. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
F.T. Hawkins, Augusta, Georgia.
All right, Mr. Hawkins in Augusta, Georgia. What's on your mind?
What's up, man? I just appreciate you being back. But the intellectual resources, people got to understand how important that is, because legalese is something they use to tie a lot of us up. I got trapped under something called non-protunct. That means to take back the original ruling. But I didn't know that at the time. So I'm thinking I got sentenced twice under the same charge.
Yeah, that can happen. If they want to sit here and roll your charges back and whatnot, when you're black, you find out double jeopardy and whatnot. You find out all kinds of things. The Constitution doesn't apply to you when they don't want it to. Ask Bill Cosby.
Right.
The Constitution will not apply to you if they don't want it to. You find out contrary to popular belief, double jeopardy is not an absolute thing. It really isn't. There are loopholes that will allow them to run your case back. There actually are. It sure can happen. Now, is it rare? Yes. Is it a standard thing? No. Can it happen? Sure can. Will you most likely be black when it does? Uh-huh. You most likely will.
Absolutely.
You're going to find out real quick some stuff. You're like, oh, there's no way they could do that. And your lawyer's just sitting over there looking at your dumb ass like, he don't know. He doesn't know. You literally, there's the crazy thing about it. When you talk about things like double jeopardy and things like that, the general public has this absolute idea about it. As soon as you talk to a lawyer and you say, yeah, they can't do that, and your lawyer's sitting there looking at you side-eye like, he don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know.
And they'll even put up the front. Like they're fighting for you by just dragging you along, charging you this fee. Well, I need $500 for this. I need $700 to file this. And, you're basically getting strung on. By the time you can get something to happen with your case, you're about ready to max out anyway. But like you said, like the other brother said, this federal, whatever they're trying to do, ain't nobody in the feds for no simple possession. The most you'll have is somebody that got out on Fed paper and then got revoked for possession of marijuana. But
yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm trying to wrap my head.
16, 18 months.
That's my thing about it. I'm trying to wrap my head around, and I'm glad the brother called in before, because I'm trying to figure out, wait a minute. Like, what is the simple possession charge that you would get from the feds? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense unless it came along with a bunch of other charges. In which case, that would be crazy. The reason why I keep bringing that up is that it would have to come along with other charges. Well, even if you remove the simple possession part of it, if you got them on simple possession, intent to distribute, conspiracy, or whatever, well, does this remove those two? I don't think so. Does this remove those two? And if it was only for a simple possession, what the hell case was this?
Simple possession might carry at the most in the feds. They'll throw it out in feds. You know what I'm saying? So even if it was tacked on to other charges, it would be minuscule. It wouldn't be no more than a 1 to 2 year sentence. So, like I said, by the time if you got revoked on if you out on federal paper and you get caught with a joint or something, and they want to revoke you for being dirty or having possession of marijuana, simple possession, whatever, the most you're gonna do is in a year in the feds is 10 months. So you ain't gonna do no more than 8 to 10 months. And if your sentence, if you just say you got 10 more years on fed paper, you still ain't gonna do no more than about 16, 18 months.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you got an 8-year sentence, if you got a 5-year bid, an 8-year bid, the time that you would get for the simple possession part of it is negligible. It's like you ain't doing him any favor for the time part of it. So he's most likely already either served that, walked most of it down, or whatever the case may be. By the time he's out on the street, you ain't really did him no favors. You haven't done him a favor at this point. So it's like, this is really just symbolic. That's what I'm saying. I'm with you all. I don't understand how the charges could be put together where simple possession would be anything significant. The only thing you're saying is, okay, we'll remove the felony part of it, but I'm questioning even that because I know that simple possession is such a minuscule thing that doesn't really occur. It must be part of a greater sentencing package, in which case, okay, so we're only dropping the felony penalization for just that one charge. What about the rest of it? Because I know you ain't sitting in the feds for just simple possession, not by itself. I know you're not there for that. So what about the rest of your charges?
See, this is why the Black Channel is so vital. The people that don't know this stuff, they'll hear it and they'll see somebody on their advertising say what they've done. Like you say, you go have Roland Martin, Tiffany Cross-Eyes, and they'll come up here talking about, well, we did this, that, and the third in terms of these drug laws. But if you don't really know the entails of these drug laws and how they won't affect you, you just think like, oh yeah, well shit, they did this. But this is why the new black media is important, because we're able to come to these places and dissect this shit. I'm glad you're back, brother, but carry on. Be black first. Black first,
brother. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Like I say, I mean, I'm not an expert in that field, but I do understand for the most part how Fed charges work. I'm not an expert on what you're really supposed to get for that and stuff, but for simple possession of marijuana, that's as light as it comes. That's as minor as it comes. So my whole thing about it is, I know you're not being charged. I know the feds didn't run you to prison or charge you just for simple possession of marijuana. It's got to be part of a larger package of larger conviction. It's got to be part of that, in which case I'm like, okay, so if you fighting simple possession, intent to distribute, delinquency of a minor or whatever, I can't believe that dismissing the felony count or pardoning the felony portion of simple possession is helping you with the rest of that. I'm like, okay, if you got convicted under 3 counts or 3 different charges and we're only we're only pardoning you for the one, what about the others? Does this cover those? Or is it just like, well, you got that taken care of, you can request a pardon for the rest? Really? Or unless they dismissed everything else, in which case that doesn't make any sense. So you dismiss the intent to distribute or the conspiracy, but you convicted them for the simple possession? I suppose that could happen, but there's 6,000 of them? In the chat room there, Thaddeus, simple possession is $1,000, 1 year, or both at a minimum. My real thing is, I can't believe the feds are going to grab you for simple possession. That just doesn't make any sense. I'm thinking it's part of something else, in which case it really becomes negligible, or even if it isn't. So they threw out everything else and kept the simple possession? You must have been white. Let me say that again. So they threw out all the other more serious charges and only hit you with the simple possession? That sounds like something for white folk. That doesn't sound like something for black people. I'm trying to put this together in a way. I'm like, wait, this doesn't sound right that you're sitting up here being so gung-ho for this. And I'm trying to see what the trick bag is. And I think that's the trick bag. Okay, that makes sense. For the white folk, they throw out the more serious charges. Only thing they left you with was simple possession. And now after all this time, Joe Biden's like, yeah, let's get rid of those simple possession convictions also. Let's pardon those. This sounds like, and I was reading from another story. I'm trying to see what the hell website I was reading from. I got diaper sitting up here on top of my damn thing. But I was reading from other stories about that, and what I was seeing was I forget exactly which website I was at because it's messing up on me here. But yeah, they had some guy named Goldstein in there. You talking about, I'm sure glad that Biden's going to go ahead and I got convicted for this, that, and the other. And that's what I'm saying. This sounds like white folk. This sounds like this is something that was for white people. Let's go ahead and get them off of these charges over here. This will help get them straightened out. And got black folk just sitting here looking crazy. To me, that's the only thing that would make sense. No other combination of this makes sense to me, or really makes any sense to me of how you're threading that needle in such a way, because I know simple possession is a niche charge. Simple possession is a niche charge, so I find it very hard to believe that that's helping a bunch of black folk. And the way in which this is constructed, I'm like, that sounds more like something that would happen with white folks. For black folk, they don't drop your major charges. They don't drop none of that. They don't drop any of those. When it comes to black folk, we ain't dropping a damn thing. We're not dropping a damn thing. So I know how that works. Let me go ahead and get caller from area code 908. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? Caller from area code 908. Wake up. You're on live.
It's Omar from Trenton.
Okay, Omar from Trenton. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I would like to concur, Jason, on what you said about the drugs. You're absolutely right, especially in Texas. What people don't understand is like the I-35 that goes all the way up through Texas. It's basically the drug corridor of the nation because it goes all the way through Texas to the end to Laredo. And Laredo is a border town. And right across is the way Laredo, which is basically controlled by the cartels. So every drug known to man goes there. I used to drive trucks. I know. Before I even got to Laredo, they would scan my truck with x-rays. I didn't know what it was at first. Like, what are these flashing lights? Until they pulled me over. And like, why are you guys pulling me over? Because you got to go to customs before you even get to Laredo. They pull you over, and they were like, we're just searching your truck. Well, for what? And they said, well, I'm sorry about that, sir. It wasn't nothing. Your load shifted. I was like, that's what I knew. Oh, so it was x-rays. You scanned my truck before I got down there. No wonder you freaking pulled me over. That's what they do.
Or at least, about what you just said. Wait a minute now. About what you just said when you said, well, your load shifted. 2 words, brother. Prove it. Now, there's something else I want y'all to understand. By the way, the police told him, well, your load shifted. Prove it, because now here's the part I got to remind you about. See, this is how tricky this damn labyrinth of white supremacist trickery is. You know, like I know, the police have the authority to lie to you. They actually have their reasons for stopping you. They don't have to they have to have probable cause, but probable cause and stating to you a truthful reason for why they pulled you over do not have to coexist. Now, if you take it to court, they have to state a probable cause for having stopped you or pulled you over. But the purpose that they stated to you does not have to be the probable cause for which they stopped you. Now, there's the crazy part about it. I have to remind y'all of that, by the way, you all do understand the Supreme Court has already upheld the police do not have to tell you the truth. That includes why they pulled you over. They don't have to actually tell you the truth of why they pulled you over. Now, if you take it to court, then they have to prove probable cause. But understand, those are two separate things. What he said to you for why he pulled you over and the probable cause that justified it can be, the Supreme Court has upheld, that can be 2 separate things. It does not have to be the same thing. No, it doesn't. And anybody who thinks it is either a damn fool, uninformed, or both. But no, he can pull you over in that truck. Oh, your load shifted. Wait a minute. What, you Superman? How did you know that? When you think about that for a moment, it's like, wait a minute. You sure are pretty damn certain if you done broke out the x-ray lights. You're pretty damn certain, and you were so damn certain that you were wrong. Now, there's the crazy thing. Welcome being black again. They said that your load shifted. If your load really did shift, shouldn't those x-rays have been able to prove that? Show us where that happened. Oh, well, we said it shifted, and we brought out the x-rays, and the x-rays showed that it didn't shift. Wait a minute. Your load shifted. Okay, bring out the x-rays. Ooh, x-ray says it didn't shift. I'll be damned. Sounds like a new nigger law. Think about that for a few moments. Right. For all my truck drivers out there, my truck drivers, my passenger car, I want y'all to understand something. Think about that for just a few moments. When you're sitting there in front of them, it's like, okay, well, maybe they telling the truth. Why would you say something so outrageous that could be so easily disproven? What they're betting on is that you're not going to sue, that you're not going to make a legal issue of it. That's what they're betting on. And we all understand this about the court system. What is that? 98% of the people who get charged plea bargain out. That was the reason why we were able to shut down all the courts during the George Floyd uprisings, because we were bonding and bailing people out, and the prosecutors just that easily, just a percentage difference of 1 or 2 percentages of difference of people fighting their cases was enough to shut the courthouses down, which was our plan. They're so used to people just sitting up here plea bargaining out and accepting whatever they say. 95, 98% of the cases, that's what happens. If only a couple of percentage points more would fight their cases, the courts would grind to a stop. Not 10%, 1 or 2%. So what that means is that the overwhelming majority of the time that the police, state police, scales and measurements, weights and standards, what we call it in Louisiana, all you need is for a couple of percentage points of you to say, hey, I'm going to sue over this, or I'm going to fight this. And that would be enough to shut the whole thing down. So just like with the general population, they are betting that you're not going to do that. That no matter how outrageous it is, you're just going to let it go. And that'll be the last they hear of it, even though what he said didn't make any damn sense. When you think about it, it's like, wait a minute, let me replay the events. Did that really make sense? No, his words made sense, but the sequence of events in context of his words, does that make sense? Not really. If you thought you saw something that told you my load shifted, you should have seen something else that corresponded with that. What you're telling me is when you did a double check, it proved what you immediately thought wrong. How did you come to that conclusion in the first place that my load shifted? Show me the concrete evidence that showed you that, because I'm believing that your eyes work. I actually don't believe you're incompetent. I believe your eyes do work. Now, either you saw something and your equipment's messed up, or you didn't see anything, and you're just saying that because you think I'm going to let it go. It's one of those two things. Which is it? But just understand, for a lot of y'all, they are just betting that you're not going to dispute it. And in most of your cases, you don't have the time or the effort or whatever to be able to do that. You're usually in some random state somewhere with some craziness going on. That's what happened to me in Arizona. I was on my way to California. Had no idea I was about to get thrown out in the middle of the damn street in Interstate 10 in Arizona. I got my mind thinking about Los Angeles. Nigga, you ain't gonna get there. Not tonight. Not tonight, you're not. You gonna make a pit stop in Arizona. Last thing was on my mind. And after all that talking about they saw this and saw that and the dogs, this, that, and the other, and okay, how could all that be wrong? Never got, here's another thing. I'm sure you got the same thing happen to me. Never got a ticket. Black people are the only folk in the damn world who can get pulled over 5 times in 5 years and never get a ticket. We are the only people on the planet who allegedly are doing all this nefarious stuff, get pulled over 5 times in 5 years, no ticket, 0 tickets. 5 stops, 5 years, 0 tickets. How the hell could we possibly be so damn lucky? I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, you're right, Jason. I remember when I used to work security, and it was here in New Jersey, and I would think it was on Route 202 or 206, either one, going to Flemington. My boss at the time, I told him that I got pulled over like 13 times and never once got a ticket. And he was like, what? Yes, that's how, this is New Jersey here. This is South Jersey going into the 202 thing going into Pennsylvania. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I had my security stuff on, everything. As soon as they looked at me, I was like, okay, yeah.
And as many trucks now, is that on the turnpike or where?
No, 202 is like a state.
Okay.
It's like a U.S. state route.
Okay.
So it's not like the term. It's a different route going into Pennsylvania somewhere farther South Jersey going to Pennsylvania. It's a weird situation.
Well,
but it's definitely in a racist city.
Anybody who's been up the turnpike, it's like it's got dedicated lanes for 18-wheelers and whatnot. And so I'm saying there's a lot of 18-wheeler traffic that comes out of Jersey going down to Pennsylvania and whatnot. And for you to get pulled over 13 times, it's like with as many trucks as come through there, how the hell could you be that unlucky that frequently? If this is all just happenstance and chance, how the hell do you keep getting so unlucky on such a regular basis? Must be something to it. Gotta be. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Either that or he's just doing some flagrant stuff out the damn side window, It's like, hey, get your crack cocaine here on a sticker on the side of the truck that says that. I don't think that's occurring. Let me get caller from area code 206. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, my name is Thomas. I'm calling from Vermont.
Thomas from Vermont. What's on your mind?
Hey, just point blank, these marijuana arrests and stuff. Convictions. Why not expunge the arrests from people's records? I can tell you, I did suitability determinations for a federal agency, and having to go over people's arrest records and things. Just people just arrested for all kinds of flimsy stuff. Of course, they're darker than a paper bag. And one other thing that I observed, especially in the 80s and 90s, the South early aughts, as these multiple offender laws went into effect, when it came to people of a lighter skin hue, suddenly the prosecutions decided to plea down the charges or decide not to prosecute at all, or the judge refused to convict or implement a sentence. It was all these efforts to diminish the impact of these drug laws or these multiple offender statutes on you-know-who. But when it came to black people, they was giving it out like IHOP. It's like, hey, we'll get a crack possession with a side of RICO and a jaywalking statute to boot. But if they really wanted to do something about these drug charges or whatever, they go after these arrests. I interviewed people. One lady was crying. She had an arrest on her record for a charge related to children, and of course she wasn't convicted or anything. They arrest you, and of course when it comes to blacks, they find the most
right. But once they charge you, the problem is once they charge you, now you gotta fight it. There's the real issue.
That's right, and a charge in many cases for many of these people is tantamount to a conviction. And when you're wanting federal employment or professional employment, these things become barriers in and of themselves. So thank you very much. I'll let you just go on. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Well, definitely that's something to keep in mind there, because y'all got to understand the feds have a 95% conviction rate. Let me remind y'all one more time. The feds have a 95% conviction rate, and only 2% of federal defendants actually go to trial. Only 2% actually take their cases to trial. The feds have a 95% conviction rate, and only 2% of folks actually fight their cases. Think about that for a few moments. So if the feds are used to the idea that when they come rolling up, somebody gonna do this time. Somebody gonna do this time. Just as standard operating procedure. And hell, you got some states that are near that. The states aren't usually as competent as the feds, but they're like, hell, let's see if we can get there. Let's see if we can get there. It's real out here, folks. It's real is what I'm trying to tell you. So when you got folks sitting up here throwing out trick bag language, they're throwing out trick bag language, and here comes Tiffany Cross and Roland Martin trying to convince us that we're getting something now. If you don't sit down here and have us talking about this and dissecting it and splicing it and explaining exactly what a pardon means and exactly what a simple possession charge in the feds actually means, you thought they gave you something. You thought they actually broke you off something. and actually didn't give you anything. It sounds good to somebody who doesn't know any better, and that's the whole idea. You actually thought they gave you something. And then when we sit down and explain it to you, you realize, oh, hell, they didn't give us anything. Nope. This is why you have the black media. This is why you have us here to explain and dissect these things and to break them down on a level that you can very easily understand. This is what we do. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the haven of intelligent black thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every weekend. And if you haven't gone to our website, BlackChannelFilms.com, to check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m. Gentrified Race War. Go ahead and do that now. All available on streaming DVD and Amazon. Go to BlackChannelFilms.com. That is BlackChannelFilms.com. I want to thank all of you for joining us here on the Black Channel. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. It's good to be back. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, eat this, drink this, sleep this, think this, breathe this, feel this, live this, love this, everything we are, black first.